Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to set up Windows Subsystem for Linux for geospatial analysis. If you have been following my videos, you will see that most of my demos I'm using Linux for development. But I understand that many of you are using Windows and you also want to try out some of those packages or tutorials, and it might be very challenging to install some of those geospatial packages directly on Windows. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually use Windows Subsystem for Linux because it has been released, I think, the almost 5 years, 2016. And so the Windows Subsystem for Linux stands for WS2, and so WS2 has been available since 2019, so almost 2 years. And so this video I'm going to show you step by step how to set up the environment so that you can also use Linux on your computer. But you need to have a relatively new computer, at least 3 or 4 years. If it's too old, you might not be able to install Windows 10 or 11 on your computer. So let me show you. I'm using a remote desktop, so you see here sometimes the internet might be a bit slow, but I'm going to show you step by step how to set it up. So first, open settings. So from there, you need to enable, because we're going to use WSL. You need to enable the features. So just type features. Oops. And then on here, just the last one here, turn Windows features on or off. And from the pop-up, scroll down to the end. You will need to check two of those. One of these is Windows Subsystem for Linux, and the other one is virtual machine platform. So make sure you check those two and then click OK. After installation, you might need to reboot the computer. So once you reboot the computer, then we should be good to go, because without these two, you won't be able to use the Linux environment. Alright, so after the installation and rebooted the computer, then open the Microsoft Store and search Windows Terminal. For new Windows 11 computer, you might already have this one installed. So just click this one here. If it's not, just click install. And then once it's installed, you can just in your search bar, search box here, just type terminal. And so you will see this one, it's called terminal. The other one is called command prompt. So the terminal, this one is way more powerful. And I'm going to show you later how you can actually use this one. So just click open. And you might want to right click here and then pin to taskbar so that it's always there. And once it's open, you will see here, there's a plus icon. So from there, you can create a new one, or you can click the drop down list. You can actually use different command environment, so a PowerShell or command prompt, or the older version of Windows PowerShell. So later we're going to use this one for Linux. Okay. So once you install the terminal, the next one we're going to install is the Ubuntu environment. So you can just type Ubuntu, and then so here there are a couple of different distributions. So it depends on what you are familiar with. Most people will just go with the default one called Ubuntu. You can choose a specific version if you want, but we're just going to use this one. Just click get, and then it's going to install on a computer. So this one is going to download relatively a large file, so it might take a couple of seconds, minutes. Or on the right here, you see 506 megabytes. So it depends on your internet speed. It might take couple minutes to download everything and then install all the packages for the subsystem. All right, it has finished downloading. So then just click the open button. It should open a terminal, and since this is the first time, it might need to install the packages. It's one time only. So after this one, you will be able to set up a username password. Okay, so now you see it's asking you to enter username. So just enter whatever username you like. So I'm going to just enter my name, and then you can set up a password. Make sure that the two passwords are the same, And here you go. Now we have this Windows subsystem for Linux successfully installed. And so for those of you who have not used this one before, this is kind of similar to the virtual machine, but is less computational, basically resources intensive. So because they're using all the same hardware on your computer, so you don't need to set aside, for example, a hard drive or memory for that specific computer, and you will also be able to actually install graphical user interface in software packages. So I'm going to show you shortly. So once this one is here, if you want, you can just close it, and I'm going to start from scratch to show you how actually to restart it. So here you can open the terminal, and by default, for example, it might be PowerShell. So you can click the drop down list. Then from here, you will see Ubuntu now. So now you can actually click, it will open the Ubuntu environment. So you can just here, for example, the first thing you want to do is to sudo apt get update, because you always want to make update your environment to the latest one, and then just enter your password. It should retrieve the update, and then you will be able to upgrade all the packages. So just press your keyboard up arrow, and then just change to upgrade, hit enter. That's it. So now we have this Linux environment set up on your computer. I'm going to show you where can you get access to the file. So if you go to my computer, on the left side here, once you set up the install the Linux system, you click here, you'll be able to see the file path. So you can take a look, right? So this is where all the files are located. So this is the entire Linux system. So under your home directory, you should be able to find the username under your username, and this is a bit where all the user directory. So you are welcome to explore this. You can, for example, if you want to access a file from your Linux, you can put files in here, or you can directly access the file on the Linux. So next, I'm going to show you how to install, for example, Visual Studio Code, so that you can, if you install some environment within the system, you will be able to access the program or the files using Windows Visual Studio Code. So next, let me show you here. I'm just going to search WSL. So this is the acronym for Windows Subsystem for Linux. And then the second link here, install WSL. So on here, click tutorials. So click the second one, get started with Visual Studio Code. Essentially, you just need to install the package, but you need to install some extensions so that you can access the files on both systems, on Windows and also on Linux. So let me click this one here, take you to the Windows Visual Studio Code download, and then click this one. It's going to download this one to your computer, and pretty simple. And then just double click to install the package. You can just simply accept all the default settings. So agree, next, 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 and you can create a desktop icon. You can also add this to your file context menu, so that you can just open any file without having to go open the Visual Studio Code explicitly. And so only should take a couple seconds. Then we should have the Visual Studio Code set up. Okay, and then just open. And next, I'm going to show you here. We need to install some extensions. So if, for example, if you're developing using Python, then you, for example, install Python, JupyterBook, and whatever extension you like. But there's one you need, is called remote WSL. So you will need this one. So remote WSL. So this one is for you to actually use the Visual Studio Code. Right now, open Windows, but you can access all the files on Linux. So just install this one. Right, and here we go. Everything is done. Then close this. Close this. So here, you can first let me install, for example, the miniconda, because if you want to do programming, you might want to install Python or Conda environment. So let me show you. Maybe just type ws install miniconda, and so for example, just click the first link here. It's actually pretty simple, and so this is how you can install the package on WSL. So what we need, just maybe simply just copy, and then come here, right click, paste anyway, hit enter, and it's done. Then you just copy this one again, paste. So basically we're trying to install miniconda, and so take a look, press enter to continue, enter, and all the way until you read all the documentation. Okay, and then just type yes. So it's going to install this one to your computer, and so by default it's going to install under your home directory, miniconda 3. Okay, so it has finished the installation. So now it's asking you whether you want to initialize. Just type yes, and yeah, so we are done. So now you can just type Conda. Oops, you might need to, let me close this one, and then reopen, and then click it here, Ubuntu, and then type Conda. Interesting. Okay, so earlier the Conda command doesn't work, so I did a quick Google search, and then looks like we just need to initialize. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Open the terminal, and then click the drop down list, Ubuntu. So what you need to do is to actually go into the directory, because the Conda executable is within your home directory. So on the left side here, click Ubuntu home, and then your user miniconda bin. So it's actually within this home directory. So what you need to do is actually just to go into the directory, and then just type Conda. So what we can do is actually maybe just type this one here, miniconda, and then bin, and then Conda. So after that, just init, and it's just going to show you here some changes, and then you might need to close the terminal, then reopen. So let me close everything, and then open the terminal. Again, select Ubuntu, then just type Conda. So you see it's working now. And so once Conda is set up, then you can install packages or create new Conda environment. So I'm just going to maybe create Conda create -n geo Python 3.9, hit enter. So here it's basically just going to create a new Conda environment, and just type Y. It's going to take a couple minutes to install all the packages, and after that, Conda activate geo. So from here, then you can install any Python packages. So for me, I'm just using Conda install mamba daisy conda force. It's going to install mamba. So mamba is a lot faster than Conda when it's dealing with package dependencies. And so basically later you can use mamba for any command that when you use Conda. So I'm going to show you how you can quickly install all the Python packages that you need for geospatial analysis. So and then so now we have mamba. So you just need to type mamba, right? Hit enter. It's going to show you very similar the command as Conda. So next I'm going to show you install the geospatial package. So this is the package that I developed that users need to install this one, and then it comes with all kind of geospatial packages, so that you don't have to deal with all kind of package dependency conflict, and it's going to save you a lot of time, because it probably might already include a lot of the Python packages that you would like to use, and it might take a while, but once you set that up, it's much faster. So alright, so as you can see, it's going to install 485 packages, and so the total download is 640 megabytes, and just type N, hit enter. It's going to download. So it depends on your internet. This might take a couple minutes, and once it's installed, then we can start doing coding, and just like what you usually do on Windows or on other operating system. But for now, because everything is within this Windows subsystem, so you can access the files between Windows and Linux. So I'm going to show you later how we can do that. Okay, so it has finished installation. So now let's try it out. We can Conda env list just to show all the Conda environment that we have created. And since we already activate, you can just Conda list to see all the packages that we have installed into this Conda environment. So you can take a look. It's logged up packages, and so it includes most of the commonly used packages for geospatial analysis. So if you want, you can just type Python, and then for example, I can import, for example, leaf map, right? And that you see, you can import gmap. Oops. So gmap looks like has some issues. You need to update type providers. See here. I might need to look into that. There might be some bugs in the package. You can also, for example, import GeoPandas. Okay, just like that, right? So GeoPandas sometimes can be a bit challenging to install on Windows, but now you can have access both. So from here, I'm going to show you how you can actually open Visual Studio Code, for example, within your Linux system. As I showed you earlier, we already installed one for already installed the packages for Windows, and now I'm going to show you how you can access that on Windows on Linux. So just type code and then space period, and take a look. It's going to install Visual Studio Code Server because it's basically just like an extension, and to activate and take a look. So now you can, let me just trust, yes. So here, all the files right now we open, actually this is the file belongs to the Linux system. So it's not on Windows, and you can just like in here on the lower left corner here, WSL Ubuntu. So just let you know that right now this is running within Linux, and so from there you can create project, you can access that, you can create Python project, and then you can do the debugging. So you will be able to test some of those things that you are not able to do on Windows directly. So and so similarly, if you're on for example here right now I'm on PowerShell, and I want to access some of the files, or from here, for example, on Linux, how do I access the file outside the home directory, right? Because I have, for example, here I have C drive, right? And there are lots of other files, for example, the downloads directory. They say here user, my name, right? So you can see, for example, I have these directories in here. These are outside the Linux system, but how can I do that? So you can just cd and then just mnt and then ls. You see here, right? C and G. So you can just again cd into the C drive, and then so from here you can take a look. You can have all the names. So we can just, for example, users, and then for example my name, and then downloads, right? And then ls. So here you can see the files that I'm going to show you in here, this one. So this is exactly how you can access the file on in Linux through Windows. Similarly, you can do in here. So if I open a PowerShell, I can just type WSL and then just hit enter. So you will directly automatically go because right now I'm on my current directory, and this one here right now is actually within the Linux system. So I can just type ls, right? So you can see all the files that is some of the hidden files on the user directory, and then you can just cd downloads, for example, right? So you can basically both ways. Either way, you can do that, and you can always, for example, let me close off them and reopen this one again. So if you are on Linux, you can also access program outside of Linux. So you can just type, for example, if you want to see where all the files are located, so just type explorer.exe and then space period, hit enter. It's all going to open the file explorer, Windows File Explorer, and then so then here you can see where the files are located. So this is where the Linux system is located. So you can see the file path in here, or you can click this one here. They're the same, right? And so next I'm going to show you how to install some other packages so that you can do a graphical user interface. So again, go to the Microsoft documentation website, and then just WSL. So here you can see, for example, run Linux GUI apps, and so there are a lot of Linux packages that have graphical user interface. And so if you want to install anything, you can do that very easily. So just like how you install other packages. So for example, let me install this gedit that allows you to edit files. But we already installed Visual Studio Code. I'm just showing you that if you want to have some native GUI, you can do that. So just copy, paste, and then hit enter. Type in your password, hit enter, and it's going to install a bunch of packages. So this one might take a couple minutes, and we'll be back when it's done. Okay, it has been installed successfully. So now we can just open the program. So just type gedit, hit enter, and just wait for a couple seconds. Yeah, so now you see this is a native GUI app in Linux, but you can see you can open directly on Windows. So, and now you can click here, go to the file system. For example, you can open any files if you have any here under your home directory. So you can do both ways. You can open on open files on Linux. You can also open files that you store on Windows. So let me show you maybe quickly show you how we do that. For example, I can create a new file in here, and maybe just a txt file, for example, test, and then so inside maybe we can open the notepad in here. Let me just have some contents, and let me go back right now to here, C drive, right? So again, this one right now, this program is running on Linux. So let me go to the users, my name, and then downloads directory. You see the txt file, right? Double click. You see, so it's just like the same if you open this one on Windows, right, using Notepad. But you can right now you can do both ways. So you will be able to install any graphical user interface apps on Linux, and then you can just open directly without having to use a virtual machine or anything. So here there are a lot of Linux apps that you can install. So if you want, you can try out some of this in here. So there are a lot more things that you can try it out, but this should give you a quick getting started with Linux. How, if you want to set up the environment, if you want to do some programming, so you can just install Visual Studio Code. I believe it also comes with Git, so Linux automatically comes with Git, so you don't have to install. So you just need to set up the Git, and then so from there you can do coding and set up projects, and then you can test it on both Linux and Windows, and then you can upload to GitHub, for example. Alright, so that's all for this video. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can, for example, download files using the wget. So in the previous video, I show you how to download, for example, all the global building footprint using wget on Linux. So now, since we have set up the subsystem for Linux, then we'll be able to use the same thing to download stuff without having to install the wget on the Windows system, because it comes with the Linux. So okay, that's all for this video. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.